I think before we get out in the garden, we'll just walk down the side here and look at a few things first. There's that petunia tower that I made. Stackable pots have some project peppers growing in them. Sweet potatoes in that bale have swallowed up the bale and will soon be covering the ground in front of the bale. Have some variegated peppers started in that grow bag. Then we have 4 grow bags with some bush beans. This is a variegated version of the black cherry. There's the otapinos. Those are from the Purple Flash project. Some more bush beans. Then we have the ones I've been calling Halloween, the non-variegated version and the variegated version. Then we have the ones I've been calling Midnight Apricot. Those are just getting started. The herbs are growing very well, and some of them have started going to seeds, and I think I'm just going to let them go. Let's see, cilantro over here. You can see the seeds. They just haven't dried out yet. And the basil. The oregano, chives, and parsley. That bale also is swallowed up by the sweet potatoes. There's that morning glory. It's looking pretty rough right now. Another group of stackable pots with some project peppers growing in them. I think those are the non-variegated black cherries. There's that hollow log with the petunias growing in it. I picked some of the long purple eggplants. The one in my hand is an eggplant from the real black eggplant, and the ones on the ground are from the long purple eggplant. Here's the banana toes tomato plant. It's got some that are ready to pick now. Some more morning glories. That type doesn't climb well. One of my favorite little garden visitors here, little toad. Some of the F6 black pearls. I've mentioned this a few times before, but these are hybrids. These are not a pure black pearl. These popped up years ago, and that was a cross that the bees did for me. Some of these are starting to get ripe. I don't think I ever did a taste test on camera, so I might do that once I have ripe ones. It looks like I got a ripe one there. Then we got potatoes over here. I've got one grow bag there. They're starting to die back. I might harvest those soon. Those sunflowers are getting pretty tall. Some of them about 9 feet tall. Most of them are between 7 and 9 feet tall and still growing. You can see some of them have flowers in the back there. Sweet potato vine over here. These are some of the upright black pearl hybrids. I've got about 8 of those growing. The ones over here are darker, but they're behind the other grow bag. I think the shade has something to do with that, but you can see the pepper's a little bit darker on that one. That's probably the one I'll carry forward. And then I have a couple of little peppers down here I haven't shown yet. This one's called a Mutant. There's several versions of this floating around, but it doesn't even look like a pepper plant, and it doesn't have peppers on it yet, but it will. I'm hoping to cross that at some point with some other types. And this one is called a Matapino. It's a variegated jalapeno, and it's just getting started good. Kind of over here in the shade, I have a couple of those. The bananas are doing very well. I trimmed those up quite a bit, and they're starting to come back pretty well. Another ornamental sweet potato there. And we have tomatoes just around the corner. Before I get to those, I'll show you this variegated rose of Sharon bush starting to bloom. Has plenty of buds all over it. And I'm a little embarrassed that these aren't pruned like they should be, but look at the clusters on that one. This is the Haley's Rainbow. It's got tons of tomatoes. There's one back in there I see I need to pick, maybe a couple. I've been picking a few of those. This is the Walter's Fancy variegated tomato. You can see a little bit of variegation, but not a whole lot. It's got some tomatoes on it. And you can see that the Shimo Furry has some tomatoes that are getting ripe and lots that aren't ripe yet. And you can still see that we got some sort of an insect. Well, there's a grasshopper right there. That might be what made those little poop droppings. There's some Rosella purples, and we got a Baronia back there. Let's go over here real quick. I just want to show you this one pepper, how big it is. It's starting to ripen. I'll do a taste test on that once it does get ripe. Now let's go out in the main garden and take a look. As you can see, we've got plenty of ears coming on the corn. Some of these are pretty rough looking. They got shredded pretty well by the storm. This one's got two ears side by side. It's kind of interesting. And I have some long beans getting ready to climb that string trellis, but I need to do some weeding that back behind there. The bush beans I planted over here are just starting to grow a little bit. The skunk beans and the cucumbers on this group of poles, they're starting to do well. Some of the skunk beans are almost to the top. The long beans over on the next group of poles, they're starting to climb. There's that eggplant over here. Looks like I got one that's ready to go. A couple of smaller ones. The melons are just now starting to grow well there. The pole beans, most of those are just blooming. Some of the blooms have been dropping off, but there's one variety back here I'll show you that has some beans on it already. Looks like I lost one of my candy cane peppers. It's starting to get a lot better variegation, as you can see there. I've got some Bundaberg rum balls starting to get ripe there. And that is a Rosella purple. Got quite a few tomatoes on it. I need to tie it up a little bit better. Jimmy Nardello's starting to come back. Got a Baronia down there that's getting ripe. Cucumbers in this cage are starting to climb, but they're pretty rough looking. Tomatoes, you can see that's a Mary's cherry. It's got all different sizes on it. It's kind of a weird tomato, but I hear it tastes good, so I'm hoping to try one of those before too long. As you can see, the peppers are starting to get peppers on them again now. This is the Guernica. This is the black pepper. It's got a couple of pretty good sized peppers on it. This is where the carrots are, and I've been losing quite a few carrots to the gophers. You see when the tops die like this, you pull it up and there's nothing to be found. And I found that when they're doing their feeding, if you can catch them in the act, there's a tunnel there. But after they're finished, they fill it in, so if you come in late, it's hard to figure out what happened. Then there's the beets. They're kind of rough looking. Looks like I have a Matoyo that's about ready to pick. Here's the zinnias over here. We're getting quite a few different variations of the ones with the striping. We even have pink on pink, white on pink, or pink on white rather. I'm not sure. I'll have to take a closer look at this one later, but sometimes these darker colors even have streaks in them, and I let those go if they do. This is an interesting color, just barely got the streaking, but it's got some. There's another one there. This is another one that's got pink on pink. The center petals start out lighter color and then get darker. And we got quite a few of the red on white back there in the back. Now we're back here in the sunflower jungle. Most of these back here are about probably 8 to 9 feet tall. And these are the ones I planted from a really dark red one. And it doesn't look like it's going to be all that dark, this one. But I have one small one. I hope it is able to survive, because just judging by the color of the stem, I think it'll be a dark one. And there's the fennel, of course. Now we're on the back side of the bananas. Oh yeah, here's the Seychelles pole bean I was telling you about that's already getting beans. Wow, there's a bunch of little ones, but we also have one that's ready to pick right there, all by itself. That won't be enough to mess with. But as you can see, it's getting lots of blooms on it. And the Carmenat's got that real dark stems and leaves, and the beans on it will be purple. There's another sunflower in bloom. I think I forgot to mention it, but I also have some Malabar spinach that's just starting to grow a little bit. And this is that one single carrot that is going to seed. These already started forming seeds. They just need to dry out, and I'll be able to harvest them. Let's take a quick look at the carrot itself down here at the bottom. Looks like some kind of a monster, Medusa type growth. All those stems are coming out of one giant carrot. Here's a look at the back side of these stackable pots. There's a variegated one there. That one's an F5. Then we have several other types growing in the same group of pots. And those ornamental sweet potatoes are kind of cool looking, I think. As you can see, this group of plants are starting to get peppers now. Let me show you the peppers on this one. They're kind of cool looking, variegated peppers. Then this one's starting to get ripe. But as you can see, there's tons of peppers. The group in the middle here, these are all F5s, and there's several on the outside that are F4s, and you can see they really have good variegation. Some parts of the plant are almost solid white. I realized I forgot to show you the F2 autocrosses, so I'll do that now. This grow bag back here doesn't have as many peppers as the one right in front of it, and looks like we've got a blister beetle right here that I'll show you. Those can do a lot of damage to your plants. I don't see them as much on the peppers. They seem to like the tomatoes and eggplants better, and even potatoes. They really like potatoes also. But after I get done showing you this, I'll come out and spray this plant, make sure I get them all. But you can see there's peppers down here. One thing I should mention about the blister beetles, the reason they are called blister beetles, that some people have a reaction to them, like if you squeezed it with your fingers, the chemical inside the beetle would cause you to actually have blisters. So that's not a good thing, so you don't want to mess with those with your hands. This is a gray species, and normally we see the black ones around here. And then I think there's a striped species too, but I've seen 3 different species in our garden. One thing that I forgot to mention was the amaranth. It's just a beautiful plant. It's getting between 5 and 6 feet tall now. Real dark red, and I think there's some flower heads, yeah, at the very top starting to form. Those will fill out and fill full of seeds. I think, if I remember right, I think it's classified as a pseudo cereal rather than a grain, but it's been used for thousands of years for food, so it's got a long track record. And I think, if I remember right, it's got lots of protein in it, which is kind of cool for a crop. I just wanted to show you how it looks. This is an older leaf that went through the hailstorm, so these older leaves are kind of pretty rough looking, but the newer leaves are just beautiful, especially the inner ones that are the darkest red. Let me back up a little bit so you can see this better. It's growing over here with the zinnias. We are harvesting a few things. I recently harvested some potatoes, some tomatoes, and a few other things. I'm hoping to find time to put some of those clips together soon. If you're just now finding this channel and you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.